Hello everyone, maayong hapon og ani anasad ang inyuhang ubos nga your learning partner, teacher Ana. Hindi talaga ako marunong magbisaya, guys. Gamay lang. Okay, so now let's have lesson number 3. And for the past few weeks, guys, we have learned about lesson 1, politics and governance, or key concepts, and then lesson 2, power and accountability. Now, let's go to lesson 3. This is state, nation, and globalization. So, prepared by yours truly, Teacher Anna. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, so at the end of the lesson, guys, you're expected to explain the significance of the state in the study of politics and governance. Second is to discuss the elements that define the nature of the state. Third is to discuss the globalization and its influence to world politics, economics, and culture. So these are our intended learning outcomes. So let's go to defining the state. So what comes in your mind when you hear the word state? So according to our book of Joven or Arnel E. Joven, our Philippine Politics and Governance book. So if you have a book, you can also read at pages 34 to 44. So when we say state refers to the political structure of an organized community that lives under a government. So, so it means that political structure. So dito nagsisimula yung political structure natin, and then we will also have an organized community. So, nagsisimula siya sa political structure in an organized community. So, that lives under a government. So, kung wala siyang government, so kung walang organized community, walang political structure, so hindi siya matatawag na state. So, next is government and country. So, maraming nagsasabi that the state is just the same with the government and country, but actually hindi. So always remember that, guys. State, government, and country are different terms. So always remember that the government and country refer to elements that compose the state. So hindi sila mismo ang state, but they are the elements that compose the state. So always remember too that the state is often combined with the concept of the nation, which gives rise to the concept of the nation state. But different pa rin yung nation. Pero combine lang siya. Pwede siyang makombine sa state. So we can say nation state. So always remember that the state is considered the highest form of human association. So, di ba marami tayong human association like hospitals and a lot more in a society. So, the highest form of it is what we call state. So, it is the product of man's basic desire. So, noong una, wala pa talagang state. So, because of the man's basic desire, so, nagkaroon ng state. So, because of our basic desire to survive. So, the desire for survival and the attainment of wants and needs, dahil dito, nagkaroon tayo ng state. So, the state is considered by Enlightenment philosophers such as Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau as a product of an established order brought about by human cooperation and agreement. Kasi merong human cooperation, merong agreement, that's why here comes a state. And then, The state is primarily an organization with legal purpose. So, meron itong legal purpose. So, which is to impose law and order to ensure the welfare of the people. So, nag-impose tayo ng law para dili samok. Okay? So, para peaceful ang ato ang lugar. And it is this nature of the state that imbues it with the power to enact and enforce law. So the state then pwede siyang mag-enforce ng balaod, and then pwede din siyang mag-enact. So pwede din siyang so the government in a state, they can also make a law. Okay? So kung nakita nila na ito hindi na pwede, itong law na to is hindi na pwede. So kailangan baguhin natin. So that's why if you become lawyer in the future, then try your best to make a law that can help not just yourself, but a lot of people. Okay? Now, let's go to the next slide. So now let's try to know what are the elements of state. So actually there are 6 elements of state. But in the old book, there are just 4, because the two elements of state is ano siya, under na siya sa sovereignty. So this one is the population, territory, government, and sovereignty. So naging 6 siya dito kasi the sovereignty is meron siyang two sub-disciplines, which is the internal sovereignty and the external sovereignty. So, what is population? So, as you all know, population refers to people that compose the state. So, yung lahat ng tao na nandyan sa isang state. Without people, a state cannot exist. So, always remember that kaya na-exist ang state kasi because of our cooperation and because of human basic needs for survival. Kaya kung walang population, walang tao, walang state. And then, for territory too, this refers to the place where the people that compose the state are located. So, saan lang dito yung land masses natin? Saan dito yung natural resources natin, airspace natin, at saka yung water space natin. So, that is our territory. So, it includes the land, the natural resources, and airspace located within it. So, kung anong natural resources dito, it is a part of our territory. This is commonly referred to as a country, geographic region, recognized to be a distinct national entity. So let's go to another elements of the state. So we also have government. So government is the institution empowered by the people to control and administer the state. It is through the government that the will of the state is expressed and realized. So in the real sense, sana, the government is just our co-parties or yung talagang tumutulong sa mga tao, kumukontrol sa mga tao, nag-a-administer. So meaning, sila yung tagapamahala. It is through the government that the will of the state. So kung ano talagang gusto ng karamihan, dapat yun ang ma-expressed and ma-realize. So that is the common term of government. But sadly, mostly of our country's government, so sa ibang country, their government are really brutal na hindi na sila nakikinig sa kanilang mga tao or sa kanilang ginasakupan. So that's why if you become someone with high power and in a government institution, please try your best to empower your people and try to make decisions that are good for a lot of people, not just for wealthy peoples. Okay? Now let's have sovereignty. So when we say sovereignty is the ability of the state to conduct its affairs and enact its authority without interference from outside forces. So meron tayong sovereignty. So ito yung state or ability ng state to conduct its affairs. So meaning walay pwede manghilabot lain Kundili katulan yung naa sa government. So, for the sovereignty, it is our power to conduct our affairs and enact its authority. So, if ever meron mang kaguluhan dito, so kailangan meron talagang power, like for example, President Duterte, to control its people, to express its needs, and then to express kung ano talaga yung pwede niyang matulong sa mga tao nangangailangan. So even though uh, meron mang nagbibigay ng advice na tagang ibang bansa, they are just into advice, but they are not the one who will really make the decision because we also have our sovereignty. So dili pwede nga magalabot-labot si Trump sa desisyon sa Pilipinas. Dili po pwede maglabot-labot ang laing president because we have our own sovereignty and this is our power. So for the sovereignty, it has two aspects. So we have the internal sovereignty and the external sovereignty. So when we say internal sovereignty, which refers to the ability of the state to govern and control its people and territory. So it means ito yung kakayanan ng isang state to govern. So just like Duterte, kaya niya talagang i-govern ang Pilipinas. Kaya niya i-control ang mga tao. And with his humbleness, nagagawa niya yun. And then, our territory too. Kaya, talaga, nag-uusap talaga yung mga leaders. Just like for the Spratly Island. So kung hindi like, hindi talaga nila ibigay sa atin even though we are the winner of the yung talk ng UN. Pero kung ayaw talaga ibigay para walang war, para walang gulo, isa sa mga nabasa ko is like, hatiin na lang sana yung Spratly Island. So yung malapit sa kanila, ibigay sa kanila, yung malapit sa atin, ibigay sa atin, para walang gulo. So that is for the internal sovereignty, that is the ability of the state to govern and control. So I hope you will also like Duterte in the future if you become a politician and even a president. So I hope that you will not wage war because of just something. Now let's have external sovereignty. So what comes in your mind when you hear the word external sovereignty? So this one, this one is the freedom from outside influences or foreign intervention. Dito na nangyayari talaga ang external sovereignty kapag sinakop ng ibang bansa yung isang maliit na bansa. So it is where yung decision making na is nasa talaga influences ng ibang bansa or ng ibang mga leaders. So but that is not just limited there. Pwede din na yung external sovereignty is nagbibigay sila ng ng advices, ng mga tulong kaya when they try to influence our decision making or to influence the president's decision making, mas malaki yung say nila kasi tinulungan nila tayo or meron siyang outside influences. So, or what we call foreign intervention. So, yun yung kaibahan ng internal. Yung internal talaga is yung atin lang na govern and control. So, just like the president, govern and control its people and its territory. While the external sovereignty, meron siyang outside influences and foreign intervention. Okay? Okay. So, most likely the external sovereignty magiging malaki yung parte niya ng ibang foreign influences or ng ibang presidency if we are invaded or captive by the other country, just like what happened in the past. So, but for now, kung ano talaga tayo, like sister country or brother country or babatang kapatid ng ibang malaking country. So, that's why meron din mga outside influences. Pero, maliit lang. Hindi talaga sila yung nagde-decide. Just like that. So, that is also belong with the external sovereignty. Now, let's go to the sovereignty and the state. So the sovereignty and of the state is closely tied to legitimacy. The state gains legitimacy when it is recognized and respected by the people. So, meron siyang tinatawag na legitimacy kung ito ay nire-recognize and respected by the people. So, just like the first president, so in the ano talaga in the history, our first president is Emilio Aguinaldo, but the legitimacy of his presidency is not recognized and respected by the people. So that's why sa constitution talaga si Manuel Quezon yung naging first president natin. So, but in the new days, most likely, Emilio Aguinaldo is also recognized as president. But in the old times, it is not recognized and respected. So that is legitimacy. So always remember na if you become a politician, so let's try to be recognized and respected by the people. Hindi bakal na kamao talaga yung ating i-imposed, kundi kung hindi, with the help of our people. So always remember that in leadership, people are very important. Now let's have sovereign state. So sovereign state is free from to pursue its interests and uphold its objectives and goals independently and without undue influence from other states. So this one is what we call sovereign state. So meaning wala tayong uh, walang ibang kumukontrol sa atin. We are free, meron tayong kalayaan to pursue our interest. So, and uphold our objectives. So, meron tayong uh, goal or meron tayong kakayanan na kunin ang ating goal independently without the help of other influence or other state. So we also, the state can also be clarified according to the legitimacy attached to its exercise of power. So, maklasify din natin ang state with the de jure state and de facto state. So what comes in your mind when you hear the word de jure state? So is one that has legitimacy but cannot exercise sovereignty. So for de jure state, meaning recognized and respected siya by the people, pero hindi niya ma-exercise yung power niya to control, okay, the state. While the de facto state is one that has no legitimacy but has sovereignty. So de facto state then, wala siyang legitimacy. The the leadership or the government is not recognized and respected by the people. Pero meron siyang power. Meron siyang power to exercise or to have a decision making. So just like in the times of Japanese, I think President Laurel is a Japanese puppet. So this he is an example of a de facto state. In that time, Philippines, in his time, hindi siya recognized and respected by the people. Pero meron siya kakayanan to decide for the Philippines. It's because we are invaded by the Japanese and he is the leader. While the de jure state, isang example nito is, I think somewhere in Muslim countries, ang nangyari is, meron silang leader na gusto talaga nilang maging leader. So, ito yung talagang gusto nila nga maging government, yung mga tao. Pero, because of the kingdom, like merong hari sila, merong king, pero siya, kanang, hindi siya recognized by the people. So, so ang nangyari, yun yung de facto state, yung sa kingdom side, while the other one, yung mga recognized ng tao na siya talaga yung leader na kanilang sinusunod is the de jure state. So that is the jure state and de facto state. So madali lang siyang intindihin. Okay? So, de jure state, legitimacy, merong legitimacy, pero hindi siya nakaka-exercise ng sovereignty. So, de facto state, wala siyang legitimacy, Pero he has the sovereignty. Okay? So I hope you understand this one. So we also have understanding nationhood. So what do you think is the meaning of nation? So nation is a large group of people who has share common characteristics such as language, traditions, and ethnicity. The people that comprise a nation also share a common culture and history. So, kung i-compare mo siya sa state kanina, sa state kasi, meron siyang organized or political structure, meron siyang organized community, at saka meron siyang government. While here sa nation, ang kaibahan nila is uh, ang nation is a large group of people who share common characteristics. So, parang na-under siya sa state. So, kasi the state as also the population. So, who has shared common characteristics such as language, traditions, and ethnicity. So, meron tayong isang language, just like the nation or the Philippines as a nation. So, we also have different traditions, sometimes common traditions, and then we also have common ethnicity. So that is what comprises the nation. So we have the common culture and we have the common history. So next, oops, ayaw na niya mag-transfer. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the globalization in the nation state. So globalization has a really big impact in our country today. It is because we become we have the gradual process of political, economic, and cultural integration. So this is are brought about by increased exchange of products. So meaning, yung products natin, hindi na pwede nga dito lang sa Pilipinas. Kung marami siya, pwede na nating i-import kahit saan man sulok ng mundo. And then yung ideas natin, so like for example, the vaccine of other countries, nga kung sino yung makaunang maka-produce ng vaccine, sila yung may kakayanan to brought or to ano talaga to influence the world. So that is the exchanges of ideas too. Um, so we can also learn from the foreign teachers, and we can also learn from the Filipino teachers. That is globalization. We can exchange ideas throughout the world or throughout the globe. And then technology too. So as you can see, our cell phones and our laptops, computers are not made by Filipino. Some of it are from abroad. So that is globalization and the nation state. So maganda siya. It is because there are vast of products that you can choose from. There are also vast of ideas that you can choose from. There are also vast of technology that you can use from. But the problem with the globalization is mawala na ang tatak Pinoy. So some of us or a lot of the Filipinos, ano na siya, branded mentality. Kung hindi branded, hindi magsusuot. And just like that. That is a problem of globalization too. But there are also a lot of problem with in terms of globalization. So we also have globalized politics, so opportunities and challenges. Engaging in politics in a globalized world means the nation state must determine national interest that may be affected by global concerns. So ang opportunities natin dito sa globalized politics is that ano kung ano yung mga magagandang opportunities when it comes to other countries, pwede natin yung i-adapt. But the problem here is when we are greatly affected, okay, we are greatly affected by the global concern. So ito na yung nangyayari kapag ano na siya, na-mix up na ba yung president natin is influencehan na ng ibang president, that would be really bad because maybe their concerns are not the same with our concerns or their problems may be not the same with our problems. So that's why international agreements also impose certain actions on a state. That's why meron siyang gina-impose sa certain actions of the state, and governments are enjoined to initiate programs in pursuit of the objectives of such agreements. So that's why, because of globalization din, meron na tayong UN. So in the United Nations, there are also objectives and agreements na dapat sundin ng mga country. So the challenges here is that there are a lot of countries din na hindi sumusunod sa ano sa agreements, lalong-lalo na sa UN. So I think if you hear in the news, China and North Korea, Russia, so they have a lot of violations when in terms of global agreement with the UN. So I hope that one will be resolved. So that is also some of the challenges of the globalization, kasi merong ibang hindi sumusunod, because they also have their own laws, their own capabilities, and their own thinking of how they deal with their country and their nation. So if you listen very well, so for you guys, so in the stream or in the comment section, type down your answer. What is globalization? So for you, what are the effects of globalization pala? So is it good or is it bad? Yes, for you guys, what is globalization? Is it good? Is it bad? So share your insights about globalization. So thank you so much. So let's go now to your assessments. So see you in a while, guys. Have a great day. And always remember to make your parents proud. See you.